Welcome, people of the World Wide Web. So it is the weekend, so it is another movie review. So getting back into it, obviously, with my new cinema. Obviously, if you are interested, there will be, hopefully in another month's time, I plan to do a kind of overview of how I coming along with Odeon and the cinema and everything else, just because I thought it might be interesting for people out. But anyway, yes, this is a Saturday. So this is movie review. So this is How to Train Your Dragon. So this is essentially the live action adaptation of the 2014 movie, I want to say. So it runs at 2 hours and 5 minutes time. Obviously, we have a new bunch of cast. We have Mason James as Hiccup, Nico Parker as Astrid, obviously Gerard Butler returning as the voice of Stoic from the animated series. He is still Nick Frost as Gobber. Then we have the kind of main group of kids. So you have Gabriel Howe as Snotlout, Julian Dennison as Fishlegs, Brown James as Roughnut, and Harry Tavengabel, if I pronounce, apologies for butchering, as Toughnut. And obviously this is directed by Dean Bollis, if I pronounce that right. So he originally wrote and directed the original 3 How to Train Your Dragon movies, which I absolutely adore. And obviously he wanted, when there was going to be a live action remake, he said that there's no point giving it to someone he has the passion and created from the original. Obviously, he worked with Chris Sanders, who obviously, because this guy directed Lilo and Stitch, and obviously Chris Sanders helped with Lilo and Stitch and created Stitch and Toothless. That's the dragon from this movie, if anybody doesn't know. So he wanted to take it on. He took it on. Essentially, if you don't know this is Berk. This is essentially the fictional world of Berk. It is kind of a Viking island. They're being attacked by dragons. The son, Hiccup, of the head of the village, manages to capture what is called a Night Fury, a very rare dragon. He befriends him, and kind of it's the coming, or kind of the understanding that actually these dragons aren't attacking them to deliberately do that. There is another force in play, and I won't say that until, if you've not seen the movie, because it ruins a big thing. And yeah, and it's just kind of the realization of how these alien kind of, or these creatures are attacking them, but actually there is an ultimate means, and how they kind of come to some understanding by the end of the movie. There's 3 movies. They've already greenlit a second one. I really enjoyed it. There is one scene at the very end of the credits. It is essentially a book open and someone taps their finger. It actually means nothing to the story. So this is why I'm saying it now. If you go to see it, there is no need to wait until the end of the credits. It gives nothing away. It sets nothing up. It essentially is that, and that's what it is. So we'll throw the spoiler warning up and we'll get into it. So yes, this movie starts. You have the world of Berk, Hiccup narrating, as is done in the animated version. Dragons are attacking the village, and as Stoic and all the other ones are trying to defend the village, so to, in their own way, as you can with dragons. Hiccup kind of gets in the way and ends up causing, he's a bit of a jinx, he kind of causes stuff to go wrong. In between this, you get to meet Gobber, Nick Frost's character, who works as a blacksmith. And this is where Hiccup shows him he's got this new device that he wants to try out. He thinks he can get it. No one believes him. They all go fight the dragons. Hiccup takes his device and shoots down a Night Fury. Everybody believes he's a kind of a wolf calling shit, he's basically calling wolf because he's had a few stories then. He says it's the truth. And his dad doesn't believe him. Obviously, being the head of the village, he's a bit of ashamed of his son. Then you have Stoic, Gerard Butler's character, sitting down with the council, basically explaining that they need to go and, that they keep attacking, they keep taking their food, and they're not going to survive for winter. They need to get in their boats and they need to try and find this island because they cannot find it. So this is what the head of so Stoic and the heads of all the villages, they head off on this boat, and that's where they go. This then revolves the story around to the kids. Obviously, this is Hiccup. Over time, finding the dragon, Toothless kind of befriending him and realizing that they're not as evil as it said. But in between this, he discovers certain aspects of the dragons, what they like, what they don't like, what affects them. And in between this, when his dad leaves, he is enrolled in kind of a Viking program, and basically it's with all the other kids. So that's Astrid, Snotlout, Fishlegs, Tough Nut, and Rough Nut. All 6 of them are in this like academy program, which Gobber is teaching them, and they fight, and they basically learn to fight dragons. At the beginning, Hiccup is not very good. Obviously, as he learns stuff, he kind of does it in the ring, in the kind of arena, and essentially these tasks, every time you do better, you kind of get a score. He gets the most, and then he basically has the final dragon to fight what he's supposed to kill. When this happens, obviously, the king, Stoic, the head of the village, returns, basically attacking to drag it, attack their boat while they're out. They don't find the island, they come back, and but he's very proud that his son has magically turned around, not knowing that he's got a dragon for a pet. This dragon has a damaged tail, and because he's very good at crafting stuff, he does create kind of a harness and stuff, and Astrid does discover it, and they kind of have a little bit of a connection. I say this then leads to this final kind of task, or this bout that he has to do, where he has to kill a dragon, and he ends up not wanting to kill it. He tries to befriend it. Everybody reacts very bad, and this is when Hiccup is then put in danger. Toothless senses this, he can hear it, and he goes to the rescue. All the Vikings see another dragon, they jump on it, and they basically gauge that this dragon, during speaking to Hiccup, actually can lead them to the island. So Stoic captures the dragon, puts it on a ship, takes it back to the island with all these people, and goes to attack it. They blow open the big volcano in the center of this, and then this massive dragon comes out. Obviously, because Toothless is taken away, what Hiccup does is get the rest of the kids. They all befriend the dragons they've been fighting, and then they basically go to the rescue. He manages to save Toothless in a roundabout way. I said his dad does help, and there is a bit more connection. Kind of really gets to the heartstrings when there is kind of that connection there, I feel. And then there's a final fight between Toothless and this big dragon. Toothless wins, not without loss. Then you kind of have at the very end of the film, before the end credits, is that the village has come together. The dragons and Vikings now live together, and they help each other out. And basically, that Hiccup has brought together this union of everyone, and it's a very heart-feeling Disney DreamWorks movie. So what did I think? So I'll get into the rating first. So I rate this 7.4. Now, I am a massive fan of the animated movie, and from the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie absolutely pulled me in with this. The middle bit waned in a little bit, and that's only, and I say waned, essentially a lot of it is, and I've seen the title of other people's, it's shot for shot. It's not quite shot for shot. They do expand on the story. There are more about the different characters. Snotlout, you get to meet his dad, stuff like this. You get to meet different people at the village. The young kids are a fire service, which they're not in the beginning, to kind of give them a bit more of a character, a bit more of a character base for this. But yeah, if you took the kind of core story of the animated movie and this movie, it, like Lilo and Stitch, it is essentially the same. Stitch probably has more, kind of takes more liberties, but I think it can do because it's based in the human world, whereas this one isn't. I mean, there's certain stuff like Stoic does a dab, if anybody, like little silly stuff like that. But I think it works, and not a lot of people might have noticed it. But I really, like I say, thoroughly enjoyed this movie. The actors I know, and the young girl Nicole Parker, who's done Astrid, got a lot of backlash online. I think she's amazing. I think, regardless of the race or whoever, what the animated characters look like, these, for me, not seeing really who was in besides Gerard Butler, of watching the movie, I don't think they could have got a better cast. I think there are people, even there was Harry, who played Tough Nut, he was spot on. There are a lot of characters depicted, and obviously when you come up with Jay Baruchel, and their voice are very distinctive, to have other people play them, I still think they did a really good job. So probably you're thinking, well, I'm absolutely amazed. Why am I giving it 7.4? So this is a live action. For me, there are some parts where the CG was a little bit, when you have a live action person with a CG background and stuff, there was one where Toothless grabs Astrid by the legs. It seemed a little bit off. It didn't seem quite right for me. And then there are some bits where Toothless is flying really fast. There was one bit early in the beginning, and there's one bit a little bit later. And when you have, as in live action, when you have someone on a screen and everything's moving so fast, the background and CG kind of blurs a bit, and you can't, almost like dark shaky cam, a little bit, maybe because it was a little bit dark setting, and you just can't grasp what it is. Whereas if you saw those scenes in CG, because of it's all done in CG, it actually looks very clear because you're not trying to mix two different elements together to create something very fast. And I think when you move that speed, your eyes are trying to keep up with stuff, and the two kind of layers of it, the live action and the CG, they blur a little bit and doesn't quite work. And that for me, what I felt was a little bit off. As I say, I liked the elaboration. I liked the different stuff that they kind of brought in. Really enjoyed the music, like incorporated bits from the later movies of the animated side and brought it in. As I say, it works. I reckon this 7.4 will go up to close to 8. Personally, because I have too much relationship with the one will look, the CG one will always sit at the minute higher than this one. But I think it is a great movie to tie it up. I think it's made its budget back from what I've seen. Hopefully, I think it goes on to make a lot of money as they've greened it too. So it would have been nice. Also, I think the only other thing, the original voice actors or something, it would have been nice for them to have little cameos in it. But it is what it is. But that has been How to Train Your Dragon. Have you seen the live action film? What are your thoughts and feelings? Are you a fan of the CG one? What was your comparisons? Did you feel the same? Let me know down in the comments below. Otherwise, I've been Screen Time, and I shall see you in the next one.